Historian Alan Lichtman has correctly predicted presidential elections for decades now, including the one no one saw coming, Trump's win in 2016. But now he says he believes Biden will take the White House in November, and here's why.
What do Alan's 13 keys predict for 2020?
And remember, an answer of true always favors the re-election of the White House party.
The short-term economy is strong.
The pandemic has pushed the economy into recession. False.
6. Long-term economic growth during this presidential term has been as good as the past 2 terms.
The pandemic has caused such negative GDP growth in 2020 that the key has turned false. The keys predict that Trump will lose the White House.
That's Alan Lichtman's prediction. And Alan Lichtman is always right.
It's interesting, if anything else. He says if 6 or more of those keys are false, the incumbent always loses. But is he missing a key piece of the puzzle? The way in, we welcome presidential historian and author of Inside Trump's White House. And there it is. That is Doug Wead joining us live. Doug, good to see you. Thanks so much. I wanted someone to come in and weigh in on this and what they thought, because the one disputed key here is the one about the economy, because if that changes, Trump wins, and it all hinges on voters blaming Trump for this slump. What do you think about that? What are your overall thoughts on Mr. Lichtman's analysis?
Well, Mr. Lichtman's analysis doesn't say why or how it happened. So it's just based on numbers. And so there's real validity in what he's saying. But I just want to give you my own experience. I served George H.W. Bush. And at the same time in the 1988 cycle, maybe a couple of weeks differently, at the same time, Michael Dukakis, the Democrat nominee governor of Massachusetts, was beating us 53% to 38%. And 3 months later, George H.W. Bush won in a landslide. And one other example, in 1991, George H.W. Bush had an approval rating of 89%, the highest ever polled in history before or after for a president. And the next year, 1992, he lost the presidency. So I would just say, fasten your seatbelts. This thing, it's not over.
Yeah, less than 100 days. We get closer and closer every single day. And I appreciate you pointing out those facts, because, my goodness, how things do change. And we're getting closer and closer to November 3rd. So your own politics aside, though, all that aside, do you predict a Trump or a Biden win? And based on what factors?
I don't know.
That's not an answer.
I know that Donald Trump is not your average bear, and he's not normal. And I wouldn't have predicted him to win last time, so I would not be surprised if he pulls it off. I will say this. He is a transcendent president. He's turned on the lights in a dark room. And now if we elect Joe Biden, the lights will go out. But we still will remember what we saw when those lights were on. He blew up NAFTA, which was corrupt. He blew up NATO, which was corrupt. We were building high-speed railways in Germany with our tax dollars while they had to spend nothing for their own defense. And now we're learning Afghanistan, the war in Afghanistan. His recent audit discovered 100,000 ghost soldiers that we've been paying under Bush and under Obama that don't even exist. Corruption. So Donald Trump is not your average president. So as he would say, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I can assume that you want Trump to win at this point. I can't get your prediction, but that's what you want. And I can also predict that from the book behind you.
That's right. My support for him is transcendent. It has nothing to do with the day-to-day news.
Doug Wead joining us live. Doug, good to see you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.